We're here at one of the most famous marine villages in the world, Portofino, situated on the Ligurian coast of Italy. Today, we're on the bay, where throughout the entire year you can sit on some of the most beautiful and luxurious yachts from all over the world. But what would be a great boat without tenders and toys to entertain its guests? And what exactly are they? They're all little vehicles and gadgets that bring the sea closer to you and make it more accessible. For example, a small tender can easily navigate into the most remote and charming little bay, or a large tender might be used to accompany the owner and guests on board the yacht. However, these terms also include items used simply for some fun in the water. V Marine is a major azimut yacht dealer based in Marina di Varese. Their activities lead them to carefully research some of these tenders and toys.
The
brand Tender and Toys is born to respond to the needs of the market. Customers who see their boat as a time for family and friends and who intend on employing all kinds of playthings to entertain and enjoy the time spent on board.
Per intrattenersi con I propri amici, quindi che sia uno scivolo banalmente.
Be it a common slide that protrudes from the fly of the boat, or perhaps a float or a sea bob. In short, it's a way to ensure that even when the boat is anchored, the fun does go on.
Vivere l'imbarcazione anche in una fase statica quando è alla fonda in una caletta.
We want to research and select the most innovative, desirable and diverse models on the market that were not only attractive in appearance, but also the safest and most family-oriented.
Per una famiglia, perché obiettivamente il mio pubblico è quello del...
Mostly because a large part of my clientele are families, and it was simply unthinkable to include toys that were inappropriate for the marketed group. That said, we made sure that what is offered may be enthusiastically used by any and all of the people on board.
Ampio utilizzo per tutti quanti gli ospiti di bordo.
This is a tender of excellence, a 14-metre built by Zitelli. The line is spectacular, the deck is well proportioned. The style is original, and the sides of the aft open out in the most unique way. We agree, this tender is made for large yachts and ships, but it could very well be a yacht itself. I'll show you something that from an outside vantage point you cannot even imagine. Let's go below the deck. Here we have an open space with a double bed and dinette, a bathroom with a separate shower, and a space that can be used as either storage or an extra bed. This tender can be powered with whatever means you desire. You can choose an inboard engine with surface propulsion or a stern drive engine, and of course an outboard engine, with up to 3 350 horsepower engines. In this case, we have 3 Verado engines by Mercury. But of only 250 horsepower each. I bet you can't wait to try it. Well, then get comfortable, but stay focused, because I'm about to go full throttle. Amazing! After having given it some speed to bring it into a plane, let's determine the minimum pace needed to sustain this plane. I'll reduce the gas a little and check the wake. Okay, I would say that we've reached it. 14 knots, 13 knots and a half. 13 knots. Yes, this is the minimum speed in planing. It's a spectacular day. How does one manage to stay at such a slow pace? Let's hit the throttle. The engines are mounted at different heights, and obviously the one in the centre must reach the deep water under the keel, while the 2 at the sides are closer to the surface and therefore have better control of sharper turns. However, now at 4,000 RPM, they're all at the same systematization. The speed is at 22 knots. Now, let's keep in mind that these motors can run safely over 6,000 revs a minute. This means that up to 4,800 RPM, we can consider it cruising speed. And here we are. 4,800 revs a minute and 27 knots. At this speed, you may easily navigate long stretches without impending time limits.
Che velocità? 27 nodi.
The fact is that at 27 knots on a boat of 14 meters, it feels like we're not moving at all. And so, in order to feel a bit of a thrill, we must reach the maximum. Let's go full throttle. Trim down. You know this drill all too well. Let's try taking the engines to the max. Even while giving a lot of trim, we're able to push forward quite easily. The wake is perfect, very flat. I'm not creating giant waves in the water, and the speed is at 37 knots. I think this is the maximum for the Zitelli 14. You might wonder, which mega yacht could this Zitelli 14 be a tender for?
ZL14.
Perhaps a boat like this one.
Di porto come questa?
But what if the yacht in question was of a smaller size? Could this 10-meter rubber dinghy suffice? The Zitelli 10 is a dinghy measuring 10.44 metres long and 3 metres wide. It can be powered with any type of motorisation, including an inboard engine with surface propulsion, or stern drive and outboard as well, with up to a maximum of 700 horsepower. On this boat, we have two Mercury Verado engines of 300 horsepower each. This 10-metre dinghy is characterised by a vertical stem post, which, fortunately, always remains out of the water. It has a very sleek deckhouse, and the style and shape has the essence of a 14-metre flagship. The tubes are quite large, and I like this because without them, it wouldn't be a real rubber dinghy. These engines have been mounted in such a way to give the boat a sporty trim. They've even been raised by about 10 centimetres. They're attached on the fifth hole of the stand. The engineers know what I'm talking about. Basically, they've tried to make sure that there was least resistance possible in order to go as fast as possible. And now, we'll test it. Right now, we're at a mere 11 knots, but the trim is already correct and planing. It's a beautiful sunny day in the Gulf of Tigilio. If you decide to buy this boat, I would suggest that you add a T-top. It adds style and much needed shade.
E dai il giusto riparo.
And here we are cruising at about 30 knots, 4,000 RPM, and about 50 litres an hour, which is the consumption of each motor. That's what I would expect of a powerboat, to be able to cruise at top speeds with a low consumption rate.
Lo so.
I know. You've been waiting to know the maximum speed.
Qual è la velocità massima?
Well, consider that we have a full tank of fuel and water.
Carburante e di acqua. Adesso.
Now let's push down the throttle and up the trim. My favourite moment. I have no problems controlling the craft, not even at maximum speed, because the hull is lying flat on the surface of the water, remaining immersed at all times from bow to stern. We're at 42 knots. I can do even better.
Posso fare anche meglio. Eccoci qua!
44 knots at 5,600 revs a minute.
giri minuto.
This dinghy was made for speed, and boy does it go fast. Not only that, it has a cabin and a bathroom.
Quando si parla di tender per yacht,
When talking about tenders for yachts, it's generally referring to vessels with an overall length between 2 and 4 meters, like this Genius, which is pretty great because it easily fits in the hangar. See for yourselves.
state a vedere.
The backrest of the seat folds over, and the seat, then the engine folds in, and using a hydraulic mechanism, the whole thing is moved forward, thus reducing the dimension of its height and length.
Così si riducono le
And
dimensioni.
with the outboard in this position, that is closer to the boat's centre of gravity, it makes operating the deck crane for the launch and lift much easier.
Di varo e alaggio con la gruetta di bordo. Adesso voglio farvi vedere.
And now I'd like to show you something very unique. You're probably wondering what it is. Well, I'm asking myself that question.
Facendo anch'io.
It's called Hurricane and was developed by Sea Warrior. It can carry 3 people at a time. Not bad, eh? Pure and utter fun.
Assicurato.
A little splash here and there, but to think that this was one of the least powerful versions of this line. It weighs 420 kilos and is equipped with a 120 horsepower Weber engine. The second more powerful version of the Hurricane Sea Warrior is lighter and faster, weighing in at a mere 380 kilos and is capable of housing a 155 horsepower engine. But the Hurricane is fast enough, reaching speeds of up to 45 knots and with incredible sprint. Valerio Calderoni is a renowned world champion of freestyle jet skiing. At the height of his athletic career, he launched a very special project that constitutes the development of a custom-made jet ski for those who are crazy enough to use it.
Matti come lui.
It's called Renegade and will be used primarily for competition, but also for sheer fun. It will be built in Brazil. This is the prototype, an experimental jet ski which is being used to carry out the final tests before beginning mass production. It is built with the finest technologies and materials. Of course, you wouldn't expect anything less from a world champion. The body is made of carbon, and its power comes from a 1,200 cubic centimetre engine with 220 horsepower. Amazing! And now we'll hear from Valerio himself, who will indulge us with all the fine details. Valerio, how many years does it take to learn how to do the flips that you do? Well, let's say that, most importantly, it involves a lot of experience on the water, with many years of practice. I've been doing this for about 15 years, so I was quite young when I started. My father bought me my first jet ski when I was about 4 or 5 years old. It was one of the first jet skis to be imported into Italy. Back then they were the Kawasaki 550. So you began using the standard jet ski. You never used the mini moto. That's right, I jumped right into it. It was the first and only jet ski I ever used. Then later, I went on to using the motocross, along with other techniques and crafts. But it was the first real jet ski I ever used. Are there any special techniques that you use to achieve that balance?
La cosa fondamentale, naturalmente si parte prima di tutto con una moto.
The most important thing, of course, is that you start with a good standard jet ski, something like a Superjet stand-up, quite standard but stable. Our jet skis are much more compact and more professional. They're smaller and lighter, and therefore much less stable in the water. But that's not what you need in order to be able to do swift, agile movements and sharper turns, which you learn only with time and practice.
Curve veloci oppure diciamo ecco, uscire dall'acqua molto velocemente rispetto a una moto di serie.
Ecco,
And there you have it. You don't need a big yacht to have some good fun on the water.
sull'acqua.